is the reward to the Jewish people just a natural matter? In order to better understand this idea, I learned something that Professor Varaftik, his father was a very, very big rabbi, the Mizrahi, the head of the Machon for Dayanim in Bayit Fagan. He's a teacher of Torah in Bar Ilan University. And he brings us to a famous midrash that I want to share with you today. And this midrash, before we get to the midrash, we're going to put up, and I asked, who was it? Who was talking about the animals before? Okay. What's the pasuk regarding the wild animals? Huh? Vishbati chaya ra'a min haaretz. Which pasuk does this appear in? Pasuk Vav. With all due respect of understanding that maybe all the blessings either might be miraculous or they might be in the realm of nature, we have a problem though when we read this pasuk, Vishbati chaya ra'a min haaretz. Why? When you hear about that, no longer will there be in the future wild animals, thank you, in the land. Chaya ra'a min haaretz. Vishbati, I'm gonna do away with them. Look, have you met a wild animal in your life?
In the zoo, yeah.
You've met a wild animal. Are they nice to you?
I was in the zoo, so the zoo.
Okay, I've met some wild animals. I was inside the car though. The safari in Ramat Gan. Okay, there's the safari in Ramat Gan. You can drive in, and they're pretty boring. You know, these animals. They're not living so much in nature. But are we talking about that nature will change? Chayot ra'ot will no longer be chayot ra'ot. It seems that this pasuk can only be explained in which manner? That God doing away with wild animals seems to be what? Miraculous, not natural. It's not natural. Already, our great scholars, and in honor of the upcoming Lag BaOmer, we're going to mention Rabbi Shimon as well. Two great scholars in the Sifra. Sifra is the Midrashic Halacha, and they appear in the Ramban. Ramban, Nachmanides quotes them. If you have Ramban in front of you, probably do not, but I have. And I want to read to you the two opinions. Listen carefully. Of course, it's in Hebrew. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Ma'aviran min ha'olam. La'avir. I'm going to take them away from the world. Rabbi Yehuda. In opposition, Rabbi Shimon. Mashbitan shelo yaziku. I repeat. Mashbitan. I will stop them. Shelo yaziku, so they don't cause damage. Which of the two sounds natural? Which of the two sounds miraculous? I repeat. Rabbi Yehuda says, Ma'avira min olam. I'll take them away from the world. Rabbi Shimon says, I will stop them. Shelo yaziku. Mashbit. He uses in the Midrash the word Vishbati, Shabbat, Lishbot. Latzor, stop. I will stop them that they will not cause damage. What does it sound to you? Which one? Rabbi Shimon's opinion. Meaning, as Rabbi Shimon says in his dialogue to Rabbi Yehuda, bear with me, gentlemen. Rabbi Shimon says, Ei matai ushivcho shel makom. When is it the praise of who is called Makom, whose nickname is called Makom? He's everywhere, right? Ei matai, when is it the praise of Hashem? And he answers himself, and he's refuting Rabbi Yehuda. Bisman sheyesh mazikim. When there are in existence damagers, ve'en mazikim, but they don't cause damage. So it sounds clearly that Rabbi Shimon is stating something not of the natural order, but something that is a nace, something that is a miracle that's happening. And he also brings a famous midrash that brings the psalm, not the psalm, in Isaiah, what we read on Yom Ha'atzmaut, Vigar ze'ev im keves. Who shall dwell together? What is a ze'ev? Which tribe is called a ze'ev? Binyamin. A wolf. Okay? Binyamin ze'ev yitraf. He will snatch. He will grab things, Binyamin. He's a fighter. Okay? Vigar ze'ev im keves, the prophet says, Yeshayahu. A ze'ev, a wolf, shall live together with a lamb. Is that natural?
No.
It's not natural. Even in California, it's not natural. Okay? Vigar ze'ev im keves. He further brings a child of Israel in the future will put his hands around the eyes of a poisonous snake, and it'll go into the mouth of the snake and take out his poison. That also doesn't sound natural. You don't teach your child to put your hand in front of a snake's mouth, do you? So that's Rabbi Shimon. Okay? So we can say Rabbi Shimon, okay, is clearly, what were the words of Rabbi Shimon? Mashpitan. I want you to know in Hebrew. He will strike them, shelo yaziku, so they don't cause damage. That's Rabbi Shimon arguing against Rabbi Yehuda. So what is Rabbi Yehuda? What is Rabbi Yehuda? Rabbi Yehuda said, Ma'aviram min olam, I'll take them out of the world. Does that mean they're going to be extinct? They will no longer exist? Maybe there are such things happening in the world, aren't there? I know that the bald eagle, or I think it's the bald eagle, in the Golan Heights is almost extinct. There was a terrible thing that happened in one of the fields of some of the farmers where they put poison against, I don't know, some animals causing problems to the cows or something. And who came as a predator to eat that poison? I think these eagles, and they're almost extinct today in the Golan Heights. So there are facts in certain areas or parts of the world that wild animals go extinct. Is that what Rabbi Yehuda means? Maybe that's what he means. However, you should know that maybe that too is a miraculous phenomenon. The fact that these wild animals in the world will be extinct, they're going to disappear. Maybe Rabbi Yehuda also says that's what God is talking about here. Vishbaticha yara min haaretz. So maybe they're both explaining, but in different ways. But it seems that Rabbi Shimon is even a greater level of a miracle. Rabbi, the Rabban, Nachmanides, who quotes this famous midrash, he just simply says that these wild animals will not come into the land. Why? Because the land will be filled up. What? The land will be filled up. What does he mean? For those that have the book of Shemot in front of you, maybe only just a few of you, look up please, Shemot Perek Kav Gimel. Shemot Perek Kav Gimel. Do you have here the 5 books? Shemot Kav Gimel, Exodus 23. And I want to read a promise at Sinai that Hashem says to the Jewish people regarding capturing the land of Israel. God says the following: Lo agareshenu mipanecha b'shana echat. I'm not going to chase them away, the Canaanites, in 1 year. Why not? Come on, help us out. Very nice, Eliav. Pentiyeh haaretz shemama. Because if I chase out the Canaanites in 1 year, the land will become barren, desolate. V'raba alecha. Follow the Hebrew. V'raba alecha chayat hasadeh. What will be greater than you?
Animals of the field.
Animals of the field will be greater in number than human beings. Therefore, God says in his promise to the nation of Israel at Sinai, me'at, me'at. We call in Arabic, shweya, shweya, slowly, okay? Slowly, agarashenu mipanecha. Ad asher tifreh, until you multiply, v'nachalta et haaretz. What direct correlation can we make here? that as the population of the Jewish people grow, as it grows in the land of Israel, what will that remove? The wild animals. And therefore, the Ramban is saying that according to Rabbi Yehuda, the fact that there's a promise here, Vishpati chaya ra min haaretz, what it's referring to is the future of the Jewish people, that there'll be such a large number of Jewish people, not like the Chinese, the Jewish people growing and growing in number. Remember, we were never meant to be, how many billion people living in China today? 1.4? Now we know the population is decreasing. We already have two of them living here, right? That doesn't have too much of an influence on the number, does it? Okay, fine. In any event, we were not meant to be numerous in number. The quality, the holiness is the indicative part of what the Jewish people are here to be, but it's not the numbers. The world is supposed to be a big world, numerously, materialistically, and that's representing the nations of the world. The Jewish people are here to bring holiness to the world, to bring the light of Hashem to the world. So, if we understand the Ramban in explaining Rabbi Yehuda, that why will there not be coming so many wild animals to the land? Because the Jewish people are going to be growing and growing. Now, yes?
How do we explain then when God promises that will be numerous like the stars and the sand?
Very good question. So when we learn Chumash Bereshit, and we learn about the metaphor that Am Yisrael is compared to Kochavim, to stars, it's not referring to the number, it's referring to the light. We're going to shine. We're going to bring light to the world. The light is God's goodness. God's goodness is the Torah and the mitzvot. We're going to teach we're going to be, why is Avram's name changed from Avram to Avraham? Because he's going to be Av, Hamon. Next word. Av, Hamon, Goyim. He's the father of a multitude of nations. What do you mean father? He's not the biological father. That's right. He's the spiritual father. Goodness in the world will come from the Jewish people that comes from Avram Avinu. So the Kochavim are a metaphor for the goodness of the world, the values of the world, okay? The world's not going to tell us how to fight a war, okay? And they're also critical of the Jewish people, how we fight wars. When America went into, Afghanistan or Iraq with their B-52 bombers from kilometers up in the sky, they were throwing bombs. And what do? We're very, very specific which house we're going to bomb. We don't bomb from so high up in the air. If we do, it's pinpointing. We fight wars even with values. We're very careful not to, God forbid, take away lives of people that are innocent, even though there are not too many innocent people there, according to my understanding. Now, let's get back to Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon says, Mashbitan. You with me? Mashbitan. I'm going to strike them. I'm going to stop them. Shelo yaziku. What happened before Chet Adam Harishon? What happened before the sin of first man? Adam Harishon, did you see that he was taking weapons? To fight a rhinoceros? To fight a leopard? To fight a panther? Adam Harishon, first man. He was one man with his wife, and he's surrounded by wild animals. Okay? What was the law in the world then? That animals do not kill human beings. And the Talmud says, it's not. That's right. He says like that. I don't think it was precise, but we'll talk a little bit afterwards. The Talmud says it's not the wild animals that kill, but it's the sin that kills. Have you heard of that chazal? It's the sin that's causing death. Okay? What happened after the sin of first man? After first man sinned, what came into the world?
Death.
And also by wild animals. Now, If we go to the Rambam, and we mentioned him briefly yesterday, the Rambam holds in principle that in the future, in the later days of the world, the days of the Messianic redemption, the world will not change its nature. Nature will not have a change whatsoever. There's not going to be a novelty in from the act of creation. The world will practice like it always practiced. The Rambam asks himself rhetorically, what about that famous pasuk in Isaiah, Vigar ze'evim keves, that a wolf will live together with a keves? The Rambam says, it's a proverb, it's a metaphor. Okay? What is it coming to teach us? That in the future, the Jewish people will live in their land with so much security, okay? Even though it's almost like a jungle. The nations surrounding us are like wild animals, okay? Right now, inside a closed room in Iran, the chief of staff and their secret intelligence, do you know what they're talking about? They're not talking about going to the golf course tomorrow morning. They're talking about how to destroy the Jewish people in the state of Israel. Right now they're talking about that. Not only them, there are others as well. We're surrounded by wolves. That's why we have to be as strong as possible, both spiritually, economically, and militarily. There's no other choice. Okay? But the Rambam bothers to write, even though they're going to be the wicked nations surrounding us, we're going to be able to be very strong and secure. And therefore, Chachamim said, the only difference between Ha'olam Hazeh, this world, and Yemot HaMashiach in the days of the Messiah are Shi'abud Malchuyot. When these days, when we're subjected to Uncle Sam and to other countries, and have to pay lip service to here and there, but in the future, we're going to totally be independent. We're going to rule over ourselves. We're not going to need U.S. aid in billions of dollars for this or for that. We'll be able to be economically independent. That'll be the difference between Ha'olam Hazeh, this world, and the days of the Mashiach, like Shi'abud Malchuyot. That's exactly what the Rambam says. Yes, Hirsch?
How do we get the U.S. empire off our back?
By you and I getting stronger spiritually and educating our children and educating our nation and building it. No, come on. That's enough.
What if other nations realize the importance of helping Israel and it benefits their country too?
Why not? Why not? We want the world to be a safer world, a more valuable world, a world based on the primary values of any world, based upon respect, honor to body and soul, to your finances and everything else. Now, therefore, we can summarize and say, it could be that all of these matters, rain, great yield, security, peace, a productive number of people in our nation, Gilui Shechina, all this is the natural, quasi-spiritual result of a nation of Israel doing their thing. But when we're not doing our thing, then we're open and prone to more difficulties. It could be economic difficulties. It could be security difficulties. We learn Tanakh to know what's happening with ourselves today. So it could be a natural quasi-spiritual result. This too could be, maybe they might be extinct, or miraculously, okay? Rabbi Shimon clearly says, not like the Rambam. Okay? Maybe the Rambam holds like Rabbi Yehuda. Have to be safe to say that. And if the Rambam goes according to Rabbi Yehuda, could be that the animals might be extinct. He doesn't want to hold this miraculous matter. But Rabbi Shimon, right, the author of the Zohar, the Pnimiyut, is saying that it's a nes. Really, the truth is, the Maharal of Prague explains that miracles are built in to our world. Okay, and miracles are built in. There's an order of the world. It's an order of God. For us, it's hard to understand that it's nature. But, part of nature is sometimes the alteration of nature. When nature is altered, like when we come and stand before the Yam Suf, the Red Sea, the sea is in front of us, the Egyptians are in back of us, and what do we do? So what do? God took over. There, God purposely wants to say, I want you to be spectators. I want you to watch. I want you to see the strong hand of God. Stage 1, as explained by Rav Tzvi the cook, the waters stand up. I checked it out this morning. I did a scientific experiment. I poured water and it came down. So I learned that the nature of water is...
To go down.
By you also, it happens the same thing? I thought it was a little different. No. So here, the waters stand up. They don't come down.
What's the source names? I thought the Torah says a strong east wind. God caused a strong east wind to blow.
It can blow and blow, but all the water standing at stage 1. Yeah, you're right. It says ruach kadim, azah, kol alayla, a very fierce, strong wind. But it's not natural, that strong, fierce wind, to cause the waters to stand up. Stage 2 of that miracle, the waters became a choma. What is a choma? They congealed. Instead of being in a state of liquid, the waters became in a state of solid. They congealed. And then we start walking through. And then when we're finishing, or towards the end of walking through, and the Egyptians are after us, God gives an order to Moshe to put his staff there, and the waters come back down. And the Talmud says, each drop came back to its original place. Something so metaphysical. 3 stages of this miracle. Okay, so we're learning what's going to happen for a nation that's coming back to itself, living a life of Torah. But notice everything here is in the plural sense. We're not talking about the tzaddik over there or the chassid sitting over there. We're talking about Klal Yisrael. Klal Yisrael is coming back to its land, living a life of Torah in its economic stages, in its military stages, in its all its different values. It is having the values of the Torah. And now I want to address what we began addressing yesterday in Pasuk 9. In Pasuk 9, who can raise a question that we raised yesterday? Okay. Ufaniti aleichem, vifreiti etchem, virbeiti etchem, vakimoti et briti etchem. How many verbs? Right, 4 verbs. Ufaniti, I will turn to you. I will multiply you, make you more fruitful and multiply you, and establish my brit with you. How do we understand this? Okay, how do we understand this pasuk? What is the pshat? The pshat is that we're going to turn into what?
A great nation.
A great nation. Now, how does it happen? How does it happen that the numbers increase to great numbers? First, we need marriage. And in the marriage, we need God's help to conception. And not only is conception enough, we need that the woman be able to carry the baby the full 9 months. And then we need a healthy delivery. Correct? That's not simple. We can't take that for granted. The Ramban says, Nachmanides says, that's what's going to happen in the future. Couples will be marrying. They will become pregnant. And they will carry the pregnancy. And they will give birth. There's not going to be a lacking of pregnancy. It'll be happening all the time. We can't understand it that this is a bracha. This is a real bracha. And so therefore, the blessing here is, maybe that's the reason why it says, Ufaniti alechem, I'm going to turn to you. Remember the word alechem or etchem is used each and every time for each verb? We asked the question yesterday, why didn't the Torah just write what? All 4 verbs and use you once. Ufaniti, vifreiti, virbeiti, vakimoti, and use the word itchem at the end. Why stipulate each and every one? According to the Ramban, we can understand. Each matter is something in and of itself. Each matter deserves attention. Ufaniti, I'm going to turn to you. I'm going to watch you. I'm going to give you special supervision. Remember, I prayed in the synagogue this morning, Tfilat Shacharit, And I got a freebie. I got a $1 million gift this morning. You want to ask me what it is? I got the Birchat Kohanim. I was a recipient. It's amazing. You know what I'm talking about? You were there also? Great. What? You also got a Birchat Kohanim? You and I are rich people. I received a bracha from the Kohanim. How many parts to the Kohanim bracha are there? 3. What is the last one? Yisa, Hashem, Panav. Panav. When you, very good, very good. Tell me, when you grow up, do you want to become a Kohen? You can. Very good.
It's the same excerpt that we say after the 3 blessings on the Torah.
Okay, it's because why? Because it's reading the Torah.
You start a conversion class?
They also have ancient archaeology of that being written in Paleo Hebrew.
Okay. I want to get to the meaning. Yisa Hashem Panav. Laseit. What does the verb laseit mean?
To make.
Laseit with a sin. Lamed, sin, aleph, taf. Laseit.
To lift. To lift up.
Yes. A truck is a masait, from the verb laseit, to lift up. Yisa Hashem Panav. God will lift up his face. What does that mean? Elecha, to you. He's going to give you special countenance. He's going to give you special attention. He's going to give you special supervision. Hashkacha pratit. He's going to look over you so that you succeed, that you overcome. He's going to give you that push that you need. He's going to give you that siyata dishmaya, that divine assistance. Okay? Bet samech daled be siyata dishmaya, with the assistance of heaven. That's Yisa Hashem Panav. That's how I want to explain. Ufaniti alecha. I'm going to turn to you, to the nation. Things are going to work out here. V'freiti etchem. And the Ramban says, there's going to be pregnancy. Everything's going to work out. They're going to carry their pregnancies. They're going to give birth. There's not going to be any, God forbid, abortion. There's not going to be any, what is it called, miscarriage. There's not going to be any of this. That's maybe why etchem, alechem, etchem is used in Pasuk 9. Do you see that? All these pronouns are mentioned here. However, my dear friends, Rashi decided to do something else. Do you see Rashi?
Yes.
Look at the last 2 Rashis in Pasuk Tet. Rashi says, the next to 2 last ones, in Pasuk 9. Do you see Rashi in Pasuk 9? V'ifreiti etchem. You find it. It says v'ifreiti etchem, and Rashi explains bepiria urvia. You see that? Being fruitful and multiplying. And then, v'irbeiti etchem, he says something different. Bekoma skufa. What is the English for the words koma skufa? To stand erect. What is it? What do they use?
Stature.
An erect stature. What's the matter? People that have back problems, and now they're telling them how to stand with a. What's going on here? Why is Rashi explaining? Do you see, gentlemen? A different understanding. Bekoma skufa. Okay? The pshat we understood according to the Ramban, that every part of multiplying, being pregnant, and this and that is going to work. But Rashi decides to go otherwise. And he brings the Sifra, the Midrashic Halacha book here on Chumash Vayikra. And here they explain that it's a Koma Skufa. The source is in the Sifra, in the Midrash. What does it mean that I'm going to allow you to stand up erect? What does that mean? Is this a multiple matter like pru or vu that we saw in this pasuk? No. V'freiti is a multiple. V'irbeiti etchem seems to be a quality situation. What is the quality situation of a koma skufa? What does it mean? And therefore, the Midrash takes us to the end of this segment in verse 13. Everyone see that, please? Ani Hashem Elokechem, Pasuk Yud Gimel. Ani Hashem Elokechem, Asher Hotzeiti Etchem, that I took you out, Me'eretz Mitzrayim, Miyot Lemavadim, that you're no longer going to be servants, Va'eshbor Motot Ulchem. I'm going to break the poles of your yoke. Namely, you're not going to be
No slave anymore.
In exile?
Slave.
You're not going to be under the jurisdiction of other nations. I'm going to break the poles of your yoke. As long as you're under a foreign entity, it's galut. Whether it's in the land itself, and certainly if it's abroad. And then God says, Va'olech etchem komimiyut. Interesting. The term komimiyut sounds like a double koma. 2 levels. It doesn't just say Volech etchem koma, as if it's double komimiyut. Here the Ibn Ezra says koma skufa, like Rashi said virbeiti etchem. Let's understand, what does it mean that at the end of all these blessings, of all this material reward, let's not forget the material reward we explained yesterday according to Ibn Ezra and Rambam is only a means. The real reward is what? Olam haba, in the future world. What is the nature of that type of reward? Totally spiritual. Okay? Here are a bunch of means to enable you in your life that if you have health and you have security and you have peace and you have food to eat, then you're free to deal with the spiritual. But if you're going to be bothered in agony, in physical agony and in political agony, and be under no fruits and vegetables in the market, then you have a lot of difficulties in life. It's very hard to devote yourself to your spiritual talents that are deeply ingrained inside ourselves. Now, we have a new national situation. Koma skufa. Let's explain. The Midrash says, do you know what it means to have a good stature? That you're not going to be afraid of anyone. I repeat, Koma skufa, you're not going to have fear. Not from the Russians, and not from the Chinese, and not from Iran, and not from Iraq, and not from local Arabs and Arabs surrounding us. And the question is, how do we get to that? And with that, I want to share with you what I have in front of me, the Chafetz Chaim. Okay? One of our great Gedolim, just a few generations ago. How do we breed onto a Koma skufa, that we don't have fear of others? I want to first tell you something amusing, and then read it here. The story of one of you walking in the forest, and you're a big rabbi, and you're a big scholar, and what happens? You are escorted by your students. Let's say you're a Rebbe, and all your Hasidim are with you. And all of a sudden, in the middle of the forest, you see a hungry lion. And he meets you with a big roar. Okay? A big roar. Who was sitting here yesterday? Did I roar to him? Who was it?
Israel.
Oh, it's Israel? I'm not kidding. Now you know why he's sitting in the second seat. At the roar, at the hearing of that great roar, all the Hasidim, they take their streimels and they run away as fast as possible. Who remains? The Rebbe. He's standing there. And the lion is where Ariel is sitting right now, 2.5 meters away. That's it. And the lion looks at the Rebbe, and the Rebbe stares with confidence, with courage, straight into the eyes of the lion. And this continues for 10 seconds, for 20 seconds. And the Rebbe doesn't budge. And he doesn't show any fear. He's there totally with unbelievable courage. He says to himself, I'm not going to let a wild animal overcome the divine being that God put inside me. After a half a minute, the lion yawns, makes a U-turn, and goes back. What happened there? What happened there? The Chafetz Chaim says the following. The Chafetz Chaim says the following. When Jewish people contemplate about who they are, what's their true identity? That we are B'nai El Chai. I repeat, we are the children of a living God. And we're not lowering ourselves in our self-image. We're not lowering our spirit. And for the greatness that God gave us, we're giving Him thanks every day. Then we're not going to have fear from any creature whatsoever. According to this is not a change in the faculties of nature. This is a spirit of Jewish pride. This is a spirit of Jewish understanding who we are. When you understand who you are and what your mission is in the world, then you can stand up without fear. You can stand up without worrying what will the nations do to us. So therefore, when the Midrash says we're going to stand up bikomas kufa, it's a new situation. Listen to me, gentlemen. For 2,000 years, we're turning our heads. Who's walking after us? Who is interested in cursing us anti-Semitically? Who is going to clobber us? Okay? We come back, we have a state. We have Jewish pride for the first time in 2,000 years. We have strong defense forces. We have tremendous technology. We're now on our comeback to our spiritual nature, who we are. With all the numbers in Eastern Europe of the yeshiva world pre-World War II, today in the land of Israel, the numbers of students studying Torah and yeshiva surpass the numbers that we had in Europe. And who's supporting the yeshiva world? The state of Israel is. Taxpayers' money is supporting. You want more Beseder, but it's a fact. They've been supporting it for 70 plus years. And now, when we're on a level that we're beginning to understand who we are, what does the nation of God really mean? What are the amazing talents that God has inspired inside our hearts and souls that enable us to build a state within 70 years that there's nothing like it on the map in today's world? The progress and advance and development of this country is untold. This is only the beginning of the story, by the way. You know what's going to happen in the next 70 years? Psh, amazing what's happening here. Despite all the difficulties, the security tensions, the deep economic problems we had 30, 40 years ago. Despite that, we're advancing in great leaps and bounds. And it's only the beginning. And when we understand who we are, and we educate ourselves, and we educate the people, and we tell them why we're so special, and how we're so unique, then we stand with pride. We stand with courage. And we breathe that. There was debate during the Intifada in certain areas. Should some of these towns put a fence around themselves? And there were some unique towns in Judea and Samaria, and also the Gaza Strip, that said, we're not going to live inside a ghetto. We're here. We're going to live here without a fence around it. It's a very difficult decision. It's not a simple thing. And that's the way they lived. And there are people living in certain towns that are saying, we're going to drive with our windows open, they said. So what are you, crazy? They're going to throw. We're going to show them that we're not scared of them. Now, for the guy sitting in back of you, he may be a scaredy cat. You know, you should put him in a job behind the counter, in a computer. But the guy over there in the corner, he's inspired with courage. Am Yisrael has different levels of people. We're not alike. We're built madrigot. We have different levels of Jews. And those that are the most courageous and the most idealistic and inspired with faith and feeling and sensing that we have a national mission, that's why they're living in certain difficult places. Not to instigate, not to be problematic, but to lead the way. We're doing a mission. We're doing a shlichut. We're doing on behalf of the nation of Israel. We're not doing it for our personal comfort. Not everyone can do it. Just like not everyone can be in certain levels in the army or in certain positions in other fields. So now we're explaining the matter of koma skufa that Rashi decided to explain as one of the final things here in the blessing. Gentlemen, let's now go to the last matter. V'natati mishkani betochachem. I'm going to allow what? My mishkan to be in you. What did we see in the book of Shemot? The commandment to build what?
Mishkan.
Is that the same commandment to build a Beit Mikdash?
No. Oh, well.
The mitzvah to build a Beit Mikdash is the same mitzvah. And when we're in the desert, it's temporary. When we're even in the land of Israel, it's temporary until we get the mitzvah through the prophet to build a permanent structure. But mishkani, my mishkan, my dwelling place, my presence is betochachem. This is consistent with the mitzvah that we saw in Shemot 25. V'asoli mikdash, you shall make for me a mikdash. V'shachanti beto cham. What is betocham? It doesn't say betocho. It should have carried the personal pronoun, I shall dwell in it, betocho. But it says instead, betocham, in you, in the plural. Why? Because when we're on a level of building a Beit HaMikdash, that means you have worked on yourself, and you have worked on yourself, and God's presence is amidst you as well. And therefore, God's light and God's goodness is growing, spreading all across the country through the Jewish people. The Jewish people are carrying the banner of God, the values of God. When you're standing online in the bakery and you're showing your proper behavior, and when you're standing online to enter into a bus, and when you get up for the first row for an elder statesman to sit down, and you're doing other mitzvot of benevolence and caring for friends and so on and so forth, you're carrying the banner of God, the values of God. That's having an impact. That's God's Shekhinah dwelling in each and every place. Okay? So we have here a beautiful mitzvah. V'natati mishkani, not by mere instance. What does Rashi explain? Everyone see it, verse 11. V'natati mishkani. What does Rashi explain? What does he say? Ze Beit HaMikdash. Well, he doesn't bother writing the Mishkan because he's talking about what will be happening in the future. Right now we built a Mishkan. We have a Mishkan. But when we get to a national level of greatness, we're going to have a Beit HaMikdash. Right, that's right, now in 770. That's correct. It's not going to be in 770 with all due respect. Let's now, bevakasha, questions until here. Anyone have a question, gentlemen?
Actually, I have a question on what you just said. And obviously, you know me well enough to know this is not where I'm holding, but this is the question how I would respond to somebody. What about somebody who claims that in the days of Mashiach, the whole world will become Eretz Yisrael?
The whole world will?
Become Eretz Yisrael. In other words, the boundaries of Eretz Yisrael will engulf the entire planet, as it were.
Okay. That doesn't seem to be consistent with God's promises that he says, and I'm quoting, Ki atem ha'me'at mikol ha'amim. You're the few, in the Chumash, you're the few of the nations. The simple pshat there is, we were never meant to be a majority of the world, a multiple. Our uniqueness is in the fact that, in spite of the fact where numbers are not great, our greatness is a function of our values, our behavior, the light of God inside us. It could very well be, like the Talmud says, that the borders of Israel may grow up north and south. Maybe more Jews. I don't know if the Taliban are going to convert, if they're known to be these Afghanis, if they're noticed to be Jews or not. That's a private matter. If they're going to do Gior, how many millions of them are there? That's not the major point. So maybe the land of Israel is likened to which animal? It's called Eretz HaTzvi. Have you heard of that before in the Tanakh? The land of Israel is called Eretz HaTzvi. What do we say, tzvi in English? A deer. A deer. So it's unique that the leather, the skin of the deer is very stretchable, if there's such a word, but it easily is stretched. Flexible? Thank you. So too the land of Israel. When we're a small nation, The land of Israel is small. But when we grow, all of a sudden we find more area. The truth of the matter is, do you know how much room there is in the Galil, in Judea, in Samaria, in the Negev? You can take all of Brooklyn times 20 and settle them in several places. There's no problem. The land of Israel grows, it stretches. And today, we're happy to see that when you come into almost every major city, you see cranes in the air. You're everywhere, literally everywhere, in every city. You just look up into the sky and you see the new bird. You see the cranes. Those are that's the new view of every city. Why? Because we don't have enough homes. Okay, more Ukrainians just arrived. How many thousands just arrived now over the last? You didn't count them? Okay. And who knows? Someone just sent me something devastating. In a city called Peterson, New Jersey, they had an assembly and they revealed a new street at an unveiling. They called it Palestine Way, and they had hundreds of people with Arab flags. This is the new New Jersey in America.
They can stay.
What?
They can stay in New Jersey.
They could stay in New Jersey. I'm just saying, our friends, our cousins, our brothers that are living with their eyes closed, with so much anti-Semitism in North America and in Europe as well, we have to urge them to come here as quickly as possible. Because it's a sakana, mamash is sakana, and that's the unfortunate reason to make aliyah. What do we pray every day? V'tachazena einenu, let our eyes view and see. B'shuvcha le Tzion berachamim. Why do we ask berachamim? We're asking for the return to Zion of God. God is through the Jewish people. Why berachamim? We don't want it to be because out of fear, out of hatred, out of so many anti-Semitic acts. People are frightened. They're going to. We don't want them to come at that level, but if there's no choice, they're going to come. We're praying that it come out of the mercy of God, out of the wanting to come. But who knows? Maybe the times for making aliyah for positive reasons are coming to an end. Are coming towards an end. There are certainly a lot of tzaddikim and righteous people that are making aliyah for positive reasons. But who knows what God is cooking up in Chutz La'aretz in these matters.
Eventually they're going to be forced.
Ken, we're afraid of that because who knows what can happen. You can end the show right now. We're going to stop here as far as this. And now we're going to continue in the shore.